Hi, this is Mike from Mike's Unboxing Reviews and How To, and on today's video we'll be taking a look at an absolute bargain of a power supply. Well, at least it is at the moment, and it could be for you if you get in there quick. This is EVGA's W2 600 watt. Keep watching to find out more. Okay, so in today's video we'll be taking a look at a ultra cheap power supply. Now normally when the words ultra cheap and power supply are combined, we get fire, which is never a good look, especially if you've just spent all your hard-earned money on computer components, which are getting more and more expensive as time goes on. But there is a fortunate thing about computer components getting far more expensive than they normally are, and that is people are building less systems. And when that happens, other parts of the supply chain get a little bit twitchy and start reducing their prices to try and stimulate the market. And that is exactly what has happened with EVGA with their W2 600 watt bronze rated white power supply. This at the moment is available on Amazon.co.uk and various other places around the world for somewhere in the region of about £25. Yes, £25 for a 80 plus rated white label 600 watt power supply. Surely this can't be a good thing, but actually saying that, I've taken it apart, had a look inside, and it actually does look to be pretty decent. It covers a lot of the usual specs such as over voltage protection, under voltage protection, it has active power factor correction, and all those kind of good things that you'd expect to see on a power supply twice, maybe even 3 times the price. So is it going to be the one for you? Well, let's find out in today's video. We're going to go through, do an unboxing, I'll show you what you get. We're going to go through, show you the cables and also the measurements of those cables so you can work out if it will actually physically be able to connect up your components. And at the end you can make up your own minds whether or not this is going to be right for you. So let's start off first of all with what is actually included. Now clearly, obviously, there is going to be a power cable, and depending which region you're in, yours might be slightly different. This is the UK kind of kettle lead style, what we tend to call it here. Also, you get 4 screws for actually mounting the power supply into your case. And there is also EVGA's instruction guide, and also it goes through some of the specifications of the unit. And here is the power supply itself, and yeah, it isn't obviously a modular power supply, not even semi-modular at this price. There is a whole bunch of cables here, but the actual overall design of the power supply I actually really like. It's relatively muted. I do like this. We've got a 120mm temperature controlled fan, which I'll be honest with you, when I did plug it in earlier just to physically make sure that it worked, it does seem it's slightly noisier than some other ones that I've used in the past. So certainly if absolute silence is a priority for you, this is slightly louder, so do bear that in mind. This may be purely down to the one I've actually received. If you've actually bought one of these and you've used it, please do let me know. I will do an audio test of this later on. I'll put my microphone right against the fan when it's on so you can hear what it's like and get an idea of what it would be like for yourselves. So taking a tour around the power supply, on this side we've got the EVGA logo, which is actually mirrored on the other side as well. So they've actually taken the trouble to put 2 stickers on, which I guess is a good thing. On the back we've got a nice clicky power switch, and also there is the input for your power, and a really nice hexagonal mesh design there to allow airflow to get out. When it comes down to the cables, there's a whole bunch here to go through, so we'll start off with the main one. So this is our main ATX power connection. Now this is divided up into a 20 and a +4, so if you're using this on a slightly older system, again, older systems need power supplies too, and if you need one which only has the 20 pin, then certainly you can do that. Or if you're using a more traditional and a more modern 24 pin, you can do that also. Now this cable is actually 20 inches in length from the plug to the actual power supply, so that is the length of that. I should mention as well, this has actually got 49 amps on the 12 volt rail. I'll give you a close up of the sticker on the side of the power supply now so you can see the rest of the specs. Effectively they've called it a 600 watt power supply, and that is based on the 49 amps, which gives you 588 watts. Plus some of the other rails as well added on. They have listed the other rails, the 3 and the 5 volt rail separately, which gives you another reading. So yeah, 600 watts is essentially what they're rating this as. It's not exactly 600 watts, but it's pretty close. And obviously when you take into account the actual power loss, because of this being a white rated unit, that means its efficiency isn't quite as good as its bronze, silver, gold and so on rated power supplies. Next cable on the power supply is going to be our 6+2 or 8-pin PCI Express power points. And there's actually 2 of these. They come off of a spur. This is actually a little bit longer, so this one is a 22 inch, and the difference between this end and that end is 5. So in total you've got 27 inches if you extend it out as far as it'll go, should you need to. So yeah, that's a pretty decent length. Next one is our EPS connector. So that is your supplementary power for your CPU, which is normally either in a 4 or a 8-pin configuration. Sadly, there is only the one cable of this. So if you've got a motherboard which requires a 8+4 or 2 8s, etc., then unfortunately you won't be able to do it directly from this cable. And this one is measuring in, and again, slightly longer. This is up to 24 inches in length. The cabling on these, as most of them are, it's this nice flat licorice style cable, which I actually prefer, and makes cable management in those slightly more tighter areas a little bit easier to deal with. Next one up is going to be what I refer to as our Molex, or our legacy connector. So this has got a Molex connector, 1, 2 and 3, and on the very end of that you've got an old style floppy drive connector, which actually might be useful for some PCI Express cards, USB 2 cards, USB 3 cards, that kind of thing. Quite often they will still use that connector, even though really it died a long time back. Lengthwise with this cable, slightly shorter to the first connection. We're looking at 17 inches from the first Molex to the power supply, and then we've got an additional 4 inches between each additional, then another 4 to the floppy on the end. So that's giving you a total length from the very end of the floppy drive right to the power supply of 31 inches. And last of all, we've got our SATA connections. Now we've got 2 SATA connections, 2 cables coming off, both of which have got 3 SATA connections on for things like RGB accessories, SATA drives, all that kind of stuff, anything that requires a SATA power connector. This one, same length again, so between the power supply and the first SATA connection, we're looking at 17 inches, and then between each individual SATA connection, we've got an additional 4 inches. Okay, so that is the cables done. Let's take a look and see what the noise is like. So I've got this plugged in just to the wall socket, and I've actually got one of those handy adapters on the end just for testing to see if a power supply works. Of course, if you want to, you can just use a paper clip and grind out some of the cables and it'll turn on. So turn on the switch on the back. And it starts off relatively quiet and then does increase in speed and also in noise. So I'm going to be as silent as I possibly can. This is in a room where there are other computers, animals, etc. But I'll try and get it as close as I can to my microphone so you can get an idea of what it's going to sound like. So that is from the fan side, and let's try from the exhaust side. And there we go, from a much better distance. You probably won't be able to hear it at all now. There is some odd resonance coming from it, which I can't quite put my finger on. It sounds like possibly some of those little plastic guards that they have on the inside of the power supply. In fact, actually, I'll give you some look at the inside of the power supply now so you can see what's going on there. It does actually look to be quite a well-built unit, and there's all sorts of additional components attached actually to the main power input. I guess that's some sort of rectifier or something to clean up the power as it comes in. But yeah, you can see what it looks like, and you can see those plastic bits on the side, which I think are what are actually making the noise here. There is a sort of hum there. It isn't an electrical hum, but there is some sort of vibrational hum from the power supply. But again, this is a relatively cheap power supply coming in here at £25 at the moment on amazon.co.uk. There will be some affiliated links in the video description so you can check out for yourself. I think for most people, if you're building a cheap flip PC, £25, you get a 3-year warranty, EVGA branding, your customers are going to like it, and EVGA really don't make bad power supplies as such. Obviously all brands will have power supplies fail from time to time. That is the nature of electronics. But at least with EVGA, they've been around a long time, they know what they're doing, and they wouldn't want to tarnish their brand unnecessarily. So let us know what you think about this one in the comments section below. Have you already picked up one of these from the post we put in our community tab? And if you haven't already joined and subscribed, make sure you do now. If you want to see more deals like this, head over to our Discord chat and look in the deals no chat section. Stuff like this is posted every single day, so you're bound to pick up a bargain eventually. So let me know what you think. I've been Mike. This is Mike's Unboxing Reviews and How To, and hopefully we'll catch you in the very next video. Thanks for watching.